95% of Americans think saving money is smart, but what if I told you that saving too much is actually making you poorer every single day? I know this sounds crazy, but stick with me for the next 18 minutes because what I'm about to share will completely change how you think about money. Right now, while you're watching this video, your savings account is literally stealing from your future self. Hey everyone. If you're new here and you care about building real wealth instead of just hoarding cash, make sure to hit that subscribe button because we're about to dive deep into the 5 hidden money traps that 90% of Americans fall into. Today, I'm going to reveal exactly what happens when you save too much money and why your safe strategy might be the riskiest financial decision you're making right now. After helping thousands of Americans break free from the cash hoarding trap and build real wealth, I've discovered that the biggest obstacle isn't lack of money, it's the fear of doing anything meaningful with it. The wealthy don't just save money. They put their money to work while they sleep. But here's the shocking truth. Every single day you keep excessive cash sitting in low-yield accounts, you're essentially paying a penalty for being safe. By the end of this video, you'll understand the 5 devastating ways that saving too much money is sabotaging your financial future. And more importantly, you'll have a clear action plan to fix it, starting today. This isn't about taking crazy risks, it's about understanding that not taking action is actually the biggest risk of all. Are you ready to discover why your money needs to work harder than you do? Here's the reality that no one talks about. 70% of Americans have less than $1,000 invested, but the average savings account balance is over $5,000. Think about that for a second. We're hoarding cash, while missing out on wealth-building opportunities every single day. This isn't happening because people don't want to be wealthy. It's happening because of deep-seated fears that are literally costing us our financial freedom. Let me tell you about Sarah, a nurse from Ohio who came to me last year with $47,000 sitting in a savings account earning 0.05% interest. She was proud of her emergency fund, but when I showed her the math, she realized she had lost over $8,000 in purchasing power over the past 5 years just to inflation. Sarah's story isn't unique. It's the story of millions of hardworking Americans who think they're being financially responsible, but are actually moving backwards. The 2008 financial crisis created a generation of cash hoarders. And I get it. Watching retirement accounts disappear and homes get foreclosed was traumatic. But here's what's tragic. That same fear that was supposed to protect us is now preventing us from building the wealth we need for retirement. More than tripled since 2009, but most Americans missed it because they were too busy hiding their money under the metaphorical mattress. You work 50 hours a week, but your money works 0 hours. While you're grinding to make ends meet, your cash is sitting there doing absolutely nothing to improve your future. Every month, you watch your paycheck disappear to bills and expenses, hoping to save a little more. But what you don't realize is that saving without investing is like running. On a treadmill, you're working hard, but going nowhere. The wealthy understand something that most people don't. Money sitting still is. It's money going backwards. In the next 15 minutes, you'll discover why your safe strategy is actually risky. And I'm going to walk you through the 5 cash traps that are keeping you broke. First, we'll expose the inflation trap that's secretly stealing 3 to 4% of your wealth every single year. Then, I'll show you the opportunity cost killer, the massive amount of money you're leaving on the table by not investing. We'll dive into the fear paralysis that keeps smart people making dumb money decisions. And I'll reveal the emergency fund myth that convinces people to keep way too much cash on the sidelines. Finally, we'll talk about the wealth mindset shift that separates the financially free from the financially stuck. Each of these traps comes with specific, actionable solutions that you can implement starting today. By the time we're done, you'll have a clear understanding of exactly how much cash you should keep liquid, where to put the rest, and how to overcome the mental barriers that have been holding you back. This isn't about becoming a day trader or taking huge risks. It's about making your money work as hard as you do. Ready to turn your cash from a liability into an asset? Let's start with the silent wealth killer that nobody talks about. Here's a number that will shock you. If you had $10,000 in a savings account 5 years ago, You can now buy about $8,500 worth of the same stuff today. That's $1,500 that just vanished into thin air, and most people don't even realize it happened. Inflation is averaging 3.2% annually, while most savings accounts pay less than 1%.
Oh.
That's a guaranteed loss of over 2% every single year. Let me break this down with real numbers that will blow your mind. If you keep $20,000 in cash for 10 years at current inflation rates, you'll lose approximately $6,000. In purchasing power, it's enough money for a decent used car just gone because you thought you were being safe. Meanwhile, that same $20,000 invested in a simple index fund, averaging 7% annually, would be worth nearly $40,000 after 10 years. The Federal Reserve intentionally targets 2% inflation, which means they're literally designed to make your cash worth less over time. This isn't some conspiracy theory. It's official monetary policy. When you hoard cash, you're fighting against the entire economic system that's specifically designed to encourage investment and spending. Your safe money is getting less safe. Every single day, the solution isn't to panic and throw all your money into risky investments. Start by calculating how much you're actually losing to inflation each year. Multiply your cash holdings by 3%, and that's your annual wealth destruction. Then, systematically move everything above your true emergency needs into inflation-beating investments. Even treasury bills or high-yield bonds will help you stay ahead of the inflation monster that's eating your wealth while you sleep. But inflation is just the beginning. Opportunity cost is the most expensive concept that nobody understands. It's costing Americans millions of dollars in potential wealth. Every dollar sitting in a low-yield account is a dollar that's not growing, compounding, or building your future financial freedom. The S&P 500 has averaged about 10% annually over the past 50 years, which means every $10,000 you keep in cash instead of investing costs you approximately $1,000 per year in missed growth. Let's run some numbers that will make you sick to your stomach. If you invest $300 per month starting at age 25, by age 65, you'll have approximately $2.4 million, assuming historical market returns. But if you wait until age 35 to start because you're being safe with cash, you'll only have about $1.1 million. That 10-year delay costs you $1.3 million, all because you were afraid to put your money to work. The wealthy understand that time in the market beats timing the market every single time. While average Americans are trying to save their way to wealth, rich people are using compound interest to multiply their money exponentially. Albert Einstein allegedly called compound interest the eighth wonder of the world, and he was right. When you keep excessive cash, you're essentially saying no to free money that compound growth provides over time. Here's your action step. Calculate what you're currently missing by keeping too much cash. Take your excess cash balance, multiply it by 7%, and that's approximately what you're giving up annually. Then set up automatic investments to move that money into diversified index funds. Stop trying to time the perfect entry point and start letting time work in your favor instead of against you. Now, I know what you're thinking, but what if the market crashes? This brings us to the third trap: fear paralysis. Your brain is literally wired to keep you poor, and understanding this is the first step to overcoming it. The same survival instincts that kept our ancestors alive are now preventing us from building wealth in the modern world. Loss aversion is a psychological principle that makes us feel losses twice as strongly as equivalent gains, which explains why people will go to extreme lengths to avoid losing money, even when it means missing out on much larger gains. The media doesn't help either. They make money from keeping you scared and engaged. Every market dip gets sensationalized as the next Great Depression, while the steady, consistent growth that happens most of the time gets ignored. The result is that most people have a completely distorted view of investment risk. They think investing is like gambling, when the real gamble is keeping all your money in cash. While inflation and opportunity cost destroy your wealth, here's the truth that Wall Street doesn't want you to know: investing in diversified index funds is actually less risky than keeping large amounts of cash over long time periods. Cash has 100% chance of losing purchasing power to inflation, while diversified investments have historically recovered from every single market downturn in history. The longest bear market in modern history lasted about 2.5 years, but the average bull market lasts over 9 years. Start overcoming fear. Paralysis by educating yourself about historical market data and understanding that short-term volatility is the price you pay for long-term wealth building. Begin with small amounts to build confidence, and gradually increase your investments as you become more comfortable. Remember, the biggest risk isn't market volatility, it's running out of money in retirement because you were too scared to invest. This fear often manifests in what I call the emergency fund myth. The traditional advice of keeping 3 to 6 months of expenses in cash is outdated and potentially destructive to your wealth-building goals. This advice made sense when interest rates were higher and investment options were limited. But in today's environment, it's keeping too much money on the sidelines. Most financial emergencies can be handled with 1 to 2 months of expenses, a good insurance policy, and access to credit or investment accounts. Let's crunch some real numbers. If your monthly expenses are $4,000 and you keep 6 months in savings, that's $24,000 earning essentially nothing. Over 20 years, that money could grow to approximately $160,000 if invested properly. You're literally sacrificing over $130,000 in future wealth for the illusion of complete security that you probably don't even need. The wealthy approach emergency funds differently. They keep minimal cash and maximize their access to liquidity through investment accounts, credit lines, and diversified income streams. They understand that true financial security comes from growing wealth, not hoarding cash. A millionaire with 2 weeks of cash but diversified investments is more financially secure than someone with 6 months of expenses and savings, but no investments. Here's a smarter approach. Keep 1 month of expenses in cash. Ensure you have adequate insurance coverage and invest the rest in a mix of assets with different liquidity levels. Consider keeping some money in tax-advantaged accounts that allow penalty-free withdrawals for emergencies, like Roth IRA contributions. Build multiple streams of income so you're less dependent on any single source. True financial security comes from building wealth, not from accumulating piles of cash that inflation slowly erodes. But the most important shift you need to make is mental. The fundamental difference between wealthy and poor people isn't how much money they make, it's how they think about money. Poor people focus on saving money, while wealthy people focus on growing money. This mindset shift is absolutely critical because your thoughts about money directly influence your financial behaviors and ultimately your financial results. When you hoard cash out of fear, you're operating from a scarcity mindset that will keep you financially stuck forever. Wealthy people understand that money is a tool, not a goal. They're not afraid to put their money at risk because they know that not taking calculated risks is the biggest risk of all. They think in terms of assets that produce income rather than just accumulating cash that produces nothing. This is why rich people buy real estate stocks and businesses, while poor people buy stuff and keep excessive cash in low-yield accounts. The shift starts with changing your relationship with uncertainty. Instead of seeing market volatility as scary, start seeing it as opportunity. Instead of focusing on what you might lose, focus on what you're guaranteed to lose by not investing. Wealthy people don't try to avoid all risk. They manage risk intelligently while pursuing growth. They understand that inflation risk and opportunity cost are real risks that most people ignore. Begin developing an abundance mindset by setting wealth-building goals instead of just savings goals. Start thinking like an investor, not just a saver. Study how money works, learn about different investment vehicles, and surround yourself with people who are building wealth rather than just accumulating cash. Remember, your money should work harder than you do, and that starts with changing how you think about putting your money to work. Here's the reality check that nobody wants to hear, but everyone needs to understand. Every single day you wait to put your money to work is a day that you're moving further away from financial freedom instead of closer to it. While you're debating whether the market is too high or too low, whether it's the right time or the wrong time, Inflation is steadily destroying your purchasing power, and opportunity cost is stealing your future wealth. The wealthy don't wait for perfect conditions because they understand that perfect conditions never come. They take calculated action with imperfect information because they know that the cost of inaction is always higher than the cost of imperfect action. Your grandparents who lived through the Great Depression had valid reasons to distrust the financial system. But if you're still making financial decisions based on events that happened before you were born, you're letting their fears rob your future. Think about this. The money you're keeping safe in cash today could be the difference between retiring comfortably at 65 or working until you're 75. Every month you delay investing is a month that you're making your future self poorer and your working years longer. The compound interest you're missing out on today can't be made up later. Time is the one investment advantage you can never get back once it's gone. Remember, building wealth isn't about getting rich quick or taking crazy risks. It's about making smart, consistent decisions over time and letting mathematics work in your favor. The question isn't whether you can afford to invest. The question is whether you can afford not to invest. If this video opened your eyes to how much money you're leaving on the table by keeping too much cash, smash that like button and subscribe to this channel because we're just getting started on your wealth building journey. I post new videos every week showing you exactly how to build real wealth without taking crazy risks or needing a finance degree. Here's what I want you to do right now. Comment below and tell me your biggest fear about investing your money. It market crashes. Not knowing where to start? Being afraid of losing everything? Whatever it is, share it in the comments because I read every single one and I'll help you work through it. Your fear is probably shared by thousands of other people watching this video and we can work through it together. Also, if you found this valuable, share it with someone you care about who's keeping too much money in cash. You could literally be helping them build hundreds of thousands of dollars in additional wealth over their lifetime. The best time to start investing was 20 years ago, but the second best time is right now. Your journey to financial freedom doesn't start when you have more money. It starts when you decide to make your current money work harder than you do. Every wealthy person started exactly where you are right now, with the same fears and the same excuses, but they made the decision to push through the fear and take action anyway. Don't let another day pass watching your money sit idle while inflation and opportunity cost steal your financial future. The wealth you're dreaming about is built one smart decision at a time. And today you have the knowledge to make that first smart decision. Your future self is counting on the decision you make right now.